I'd like to call to order the council meeting of July 11. Please call the roll.
Rich Bardock. Here. Peg Conway.
Here.
Ed Hattenbach. Here. Alita Kamine.
Here.
Tom Muething.
Here.
Ray Warren.
Here.
Natalie Wolf.
Here.
Kevin Frank.
Here.
Sergeant Smith Gosling. Here. And Rick Kay. Thank you.
If everyone could please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we start our regular agenda, I would like to observe a moment of silence for all those who lost their lives in last week's violence across the U.S. And we also pray for the continued safety of our Amberley Village Police and everyone associated with police activity throughout the country. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is our minutes from the last meeting of June 14th. There were some amendments. Those have all been sent. There were some late amendments that came in this afternoon, and those are in front of you. Are there any further suggestions for changes, deletions? If not, we can consider the minutes approved. Next, we will move on to the finance report for the month of May.
Thank you, Mayor. The finances for the May report, earnings tax collections for May total a little bit over $150,000. This is down approximately 30% from the previous May, which had collections of $213,000. Year-to-date, earnings tax revenues exceed $2,157,000. Total the budget for this year is $2,650,000. Despite the lower collections in May, collections for the year is still up substantially for this time of the year. And earnings tax continue to be the village's primary source of revenue. Property taxes were not received until June. So our financial statement does not reflect any revenue from real estate taxes. Our share of the local government fund netted $4,745 for May, which puts us at about $20,000. The budget is a little bit over $58,000. The unencumbered general fund starting fund balance for the year for May was $5,260,000. And the ending fund balance was $4,530,000. Any questions regarding the financial report?
Thank you. We'll now move on to committee reports, and we'll start with Public Buildings and Parks.
Okay, thank you. The committee met last on June 21st to discuss refurbishing of the firehouse floor. This issue has been under discussions for about more than a year now. The issues are that it's aging, and it's issues of slipperiness and of appearance. The firehouse is used for events as well as being the firehouse for trucks, et cetera. And so staff had originally looked at some options to repaint, strip and repaint, or simply repaint, various options to keep it as it is, and the costs range from $17,000 to $20,000, which seemed kind of high. And so they began to look at options to have it be more like a sealed cement floor. And they obtained two estimates. One is for $14,872, and it would involve a process of completely stripping the floor, repairing cracks, polishing with a grit finish, and then sealing it so that it would have a finished concrete look rather than just being painted. And then the maintenance would be just buffing it once a year. This estimate covers the main area of the firehouse. There was an additional estimate to do just to prepare and re-epoxy some of the side rooms and closets, not a complete stripping, for an additional $7,221. The committee has recommended that we go with just Phase 1 or Part 1, do the main floor for the $14,872. And so that is the resolution before us tonight to authorize the village manager to enter into a contract with Cincinnati Concrete Polishing for firehouse floor maintenance. So moved.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2016-26, authorizing the village manager to enter into a contract to finish the firehouse floor. Are there any questions or comments?
What is the economic life expectancy of this project? Does anybody have that information?
You know what, we asked that question, and I don't recall if we got an answer. I believe it was estimated, was it 8 to 10 years? Or it was not, no?
It was actually longer than that. If you- And as long as you did that maintenance, there's some belief that it could go even substantially longer than that.
Okay, thank you.
So it's- the annual cost for this project will not be significant, we really amortize it out.
No, and the buffing, annual buffing is nothing
And in
major.
fact, the life of this type of treatment on the floor is a longer life than if it's a painted surface or so forth. So this is more adopting what is now best practice as far as finishing floors. And in fact, I was a little bit surprised when I drove by the Cincinnati Firehouse on Montgomery Road there at Langdon Farm, because that thing's been around forever. And that actually now has this type of floor. So they have actually done that to that floor.
And I forgot to mention that $12,000 was budgeted in the capital projects for this project, which is part of the reason we went with just the Phase 1, anticipating that the other rooms could be done at a later time and they're not used as heavily. So,
Any other questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2016-26. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Be noted that the resolution passes unanimously.
that concludes my report.
Okay, we'll now move on to the Police and Fire Committee.
Thank you. Okay, the Police Fire Committee met on June 22nd to consider the matter of purchasing 2 additional license plate readers, which the department has found very useful and helpful in apprehending suspects and providing officers advance information when approaching a traffic stop. A total of $36,000 was included in the budget to purchase 2 additional license plate readers to be installed in the new cruisers that are in purchase process. The department pursued a grant opportunity with several other jurisdictions but was not successful, and so would like to go ahead and purchase these 2 units now. The total cost for the 2 systems, including installation and the service agreement for storing data for 4 years, is $39,260. So we have before us resolution number 2016-27, authorizing the village manager to enter into a contract to purchase license plate readers. So moved.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2016-27, authorizing the village manager to enter into a contract to purchase license plate readers. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2016-27. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Be noted that the resolution passes unanimously.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. On June 21st, the Finance Committee met with Joy Pearson from the Hamilton County regarding participation in the Community Development Block Grant Program. The purpose for meeting with Joy was to look at the possibility of getting grants for asbestos removal and/or demolition of the old clubhouse on the Amberley Green. The benefit of doing something like this is we get the potential availability of grants. There is also some opportunities for some other low-income housing grants for people who have some construction needs on their home, which may be performed by people working cooperatively. This resolution would be in effect for 3 years, so this is what we're looking at, and if we do enter the program, the grant would not be available to us until 2017, probably later part of the first quarter. Funds from the Community Development Block Grant Program are used to help eliminate blighted properties. So as we can imagine, the clubhouse falls into that category. Accordingly, I want to introduce resolution number 2016-28, authorizing the village manager to enter into an agreement of cooperation with Hamilton County, Ohio, pursuant to the provisions of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended. So moved.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2016-28. Are there any questions or comments?
Was there discussion about about Amberley Village removing the asbestos in the clubhouse, or about us as a village taking on the demolition of the clubhouse? Are we planning on doing that with the grant money?
Okay.
I mean, at this point, we are very much liable for, if we make a decision to demolish or whatever, we're liable for any kind of asbestos or demolition. And this was a case of the village manager, again, at our direction, continuing to look for grant opportunities. And he has continued to look for grant opportunities around asbestos and things like this. And this was one he had found. And it's this whole program around this particular area is something that the village has not participated in. I think of the 48 communities around Hamilton County, like 38 or 39 do participate in this, and Amberley's one of the communities that has not in the past. And this was, the village manager saw this as an opportunity and has proposed this as, not only a way of getting a grant, but a program that could also benefit some residents and that might have difficulty in doing some home refurbishment or fixing up their home. So that was the background for it.
Are we obligated to make a decision on the use of this grant before it expires?
It's not to get a grant, it's the opportunity to apply for a grant. It's not an automatic, right?
That's correct.
Okay, it's just that I had not heard any previous discussion in the land committee that we were talking about demolishing or refurbish or removing asbestos from the clubhouse. Okay, good.
Good evening, I'm Joy Pearson, I'm happy to be here with you. The HUD requires that participating jurisdictions make a commitment or express their desire to join the program by July 22nd of this year for our program year, which starts March 1st of next year. So this is just saying that you want to participate, you want to apply for funding, but you could also choose not to apply for funding. And there are all kinds of opportunities, there are many projects that you could apply for. This just happens to be one that appears to be a pressing need or a priority. But some of the other projects could include making accessibility improvements in public buildings and assisting with repairs to a building that assists seniors or youth. We also, as mentioned, have the Housing Repair Services Program, and there are opportunities to do economic development. So, for example, the Gibson Greeting Card Company, if you were a member of your participating jurisdiction right now, you would have been able to apply for commercial demolition, or a program that we have for that. So there are a wide variety of projects and programs. Some communities don't ask for funding at all. They want the funding to be available to their residents on fixed incomes. So, and we estimated about 10% of the households in Amberley Village would be eligible for the home repair program if they needed it for critical repair or accessibility issues.
Okay, well, thank you, and
You're
I
welcome.
think that, my questions were prompted by reading the description of what we were doing, and there was focus on the clubhouse, and so I'm curious.
Well, in the,
Came up.
well, in the finance meeting, it was more like lining up an opportunity, knowing the building is in bad shape, kind of lining things up well in advance, should we want to go in that direction to have it available, given that we couldn't even apply for a grant for 9 months, and maybe we wouldn't get it, or maybe we wouldn't apply, but just kind of
Good, I appreciate
put something in the
explanation.
pipeline. I was really interested and had my consciousness raised around the help for seniors, because we have a lot of property maintenance situations at times, and it would be great to have a resource to direct people to, should they be eligible.
Question, for the, excuse me, to part, I think, is this like a two-step process that is one to be part of this Hamilton County group, and the second part would be actually applying for a grant for specific needs?
Yes, this is expressing a need, a willingness and a resolution saying you want to participate. Then in late August, we send out materials to apply for funding, and there's a public hearing process that you need to go through. Each village or city or township has to have 2 public hearings. One is to talk about potential projects with the community, and the second is to say this is the project or program that we want to apply for funding. So both of those are, and so then you apply by around November 4th. So we have quite a bit of time in there for the process of public education and public participation. And then I also wanted to comment that another eligible expense is historic preservation. So if we were to grant funds for asbestos removal, that doesn't mean that the building has to be demolished. Just the removal of the hazard is eligible expense. And then if you wanted to do something with the building, that's an eligible expense as far as historic preservation or demolition.
Does the county determine which member receives grants, or how would grants be granted?
What we've done over the last 42 years is look at the whole entire grant. It's about $3 million. And as the mayor mentioned, we have 37 local governments participating. We use about 50% of the grant that goes to countywide programs and projects, including the senior housing repair, mostly seniors, but the housing repair program. And then the other half go to programs and projects that the communities request. Some communities have their own home improvement programs as well, but most of the projects are related to economic development or public infrastructure or public improvements.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Well, thank you very much for.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
responding to the
thank you very much for coming.
Okay, if there's no further questions, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2016-28. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Be it noted that the resolution passes unanimously. Well, that concludes our committee reports. We'll now move on. Sergeant, does the chief have a report?
I've noticed in my notes from the police fire meeting, is the bike safety fair happening on July 17th?
It is this Sunday from 12 to 3.
Were you going to say that already? Oh, sorry.
Okay, we'll now move on to the mayor's report, and I just have a few items. First, we had the first reading on an ordinance that amends our village code relating to the Environmental Stewardship Committee. And tonight, just a reminder of what this ordinance does. It changes in our code the name of the committee from what's still in the code as the Beautification Committee to the Environmental Stewardship Committee. It clarifies the powers and duties of the committee to be more consistent with what the committee has been working on. Originally, the committee was very focused on achieving Tree City USA for the village, and more recently it has worked on a broader agenda as far as its work. It changes the number of members on the committee from the current ordinance, provides for 9 members. The new proposal would provide for up to 12 and a minimum of 7. And we wanted that flexibility because at times we have a lot more going on. So at times you might want 12 people, but at other times 7 might be enough. The current ordinance requires that 1 member of the committee come from the village maintenance staff. This has proved to be a problem in that our meetings are always at 7 in the evening, and to have a member of the maintenance staff attend that meeting would mean that we're paying overtime, and so basically the member has not attended. So we've changed it to be more of an interface. There will still be a named member from the maintenance department, but they will be an interface to the committee, and they will meet periodically during the regular business day with the chairman of the committee to discuss what's going on. And finally, the proposal would allow for up to 2 of the members of the committee to be non-residents if the non-residents are residents of a neighboring community that shares a border with us. And that, again, is to recognize that the Environmental Stewardship Committee is addressing things associated with landscaping and things like that affect our neighboring communities. And in fact, we've had, over the past year, we've had 2 members, or they haven't been members of the committee, but they've been extremely active and have been working very diligently to work on this. And this is just a advisory committee. The Environmental Stewardship Committee has no decision-making authority. Everything comes to council or to the village manager as recommendations. They have no decision-making. So the first thing I'd like to do before making a motion to adopt ordinance 2016-11 is I'd like to make a motion that we waive the 3rd reading of this particular ordinance. So I move that we waive the 3rd reading of this ordinance.
Second.
Please.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we waive the 3rd reading of ordinance 2016-11, amending the village code relating to the Environmental Stewardship Committee. Are there any questions or comments related to that? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we waive the 3rd reading on ordinance 2016-11. Please call the roll.
Rich Bardak. Peg Conway.
Yes.
Ed Hattenbach.
Yes.
Alita Kamine.
Yes.
Tom Muething.
Yes.
Ray Warren.
Yes.
Natalie Wolf.
Yes.
Okay, I would now like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2016-11 as I've explained what it would do, which amends the portion of the village code pertaining to the Environmental Stewardship Committee. Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 2016-11. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 2016-11. Please call the roll.
Rich Bardak. Peg Conway.
Yes.
Ed Hattenbach.
Yes.
Alita Kamine.
Yes.
Tom Muething.
Yes,
Ray Warren.
Yes.
Natalie Wolf.
Yes.
and that concludes that particular item. Next, we have received an application for the rezoning on 2100 Section Road. That is the former Gibson property. This is what we expected following the purchase by the Port Authority. They basically are requesting that we rezone the south 17 acres from Residence A to industrial, and rezone the Residence B, which is approximately 4.6 acres, to industrial A. The 4.6 acres is the hillside in front of the property. What I would like to do is I would like to make a motion that we refer this to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission will go through the normal process that it does for rezoning, which would involve a public hearing, and then the planning commission, if it considers this is something it wants to do, would refer this back to council. So I move that we refer this particular application to the planning commission.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we refer the zoning application that we've received from the Port Authority to the Planning Commission. Are there any questions or comments?
Does the Port Authority have a timetable which we are to get the rezoning completed?
They do not have a specific timetable that I'm aware of. The village manager has made the Port Authority aware of our process, which involves, initial zoning application, a referral to the planning commission, a public hearing at the planning commission, discussion. So they're aware that it probably would take, minimum 4 months or something to get this done. Any other questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we refer this particular zoning application to the planning commission. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Being noted that the resolution passes unanimously. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention was a couple dates. First of all, the next Environmental Stewardship Committee meeting will be July 25th at 7 o'clock down in the community room. Also related to the Environmental Stewardship Committee, the ongoing program of Adopt a Grove, which is a program where the Environmental Stewardship Committee supports a group of volunteers that goes down to Amberley Green and does light maintenance on our trees that hopefully will preserve some of our mature trees for the future, even after development. That will take place Thursday, July 21st at 6:30. We meet down or in the parking lot of the Amberley Green. What you want to bring if you want to attend is gloves. Encourage you probably to wear long pants and long sleeves because there is a fair amount of poison ivy, and light tools like a handsaw or clippers and those kind of things. Then the next item is the bike safety affair. That will occur this Sunday from noon to 3. That occurs, it's an annual event specifically for children. It's a great event to teach them around bike safety. There are helmets available from Cincinnati Children's for our children for bikes. And I know the police always plan a set of very fun activities. So it is a great event for the children, and it's a great event for even adults to come see the kids just have a lot of fun.
And I do recall from the Police Fire Committee, there's some additional features this year with additional setup for separately for older or younger kids or something. Anyway, it's not your exact same thing as last year.
And then the final item I had on here was an item that we still need to get additional details. But obviously this gas pipeline has been something that has been in the press a great deal. In Saturday or Sunday's paper, it was noted that there will be a pipeline forum at the Sharonville Convention Center. This is something that has been arranged by the county commissioners. Duke will be present. It will be an opportunity for elected officials to ask questions of Duke at this forum. It is scheduled for 7 o'clock on July 27th at the Sharonville Convention Center, but we still need to get additional details as to exactly what that will involve, and once we get those details, we will post that on the website. There are, related to the gas pipeline, there's new things in the news every day, and in fact, prior to the meeting, someone mentioned that there was something on the news tonight, but we need to confirm what that is, so just watch the news around the pipeline forum. It obviously, as you can see by signs all along Ridge Road, almost all the way to I-71. It is something that a lot of people feel passionate about, and, you know, people feeling passion is a good thing. I think you always, you know, when people are passionate about something, I think that's always a very good thing. So that concludes my mayor's report. Are there any questions or comments?
I think, did you mention the meeting about the Gibson or Land Development Committee meeting next week? And also, I think the ice cream social might be before our next council meeting too, so I'm thinking about your calendar and just.
Okay. There is going to be 2 sessions. I think they're the 20th? They're next Wednesday, July 20th. There's a session at 5:30? I think it's at 5:30 here at Village Hall. These are sessions that have been designed, and the notices have gone out to people in the Elbrook area and things like that that are very close to the property, that have rightfully expressed concern around asbestos abatement during demolition, and they just want to understand what it will be going on. And this will be an opportunity for residents to talk directly with the Port Authority and to village officials as to what's going on. There's 2 sessions. One's at 5:30, and I think the second one is at 7 or 7:30, and is at, and Ray, give me the right pronunciation of
It's
the,
at the synagogue called Congregation Zikron Eliezer, so that's at Farm Acres and Section.
okay, and then the other thing, the ice cream social, which is again an annual event, is scheduled for August 7th, which is a Sunday. It was scheduled this year specifically to, last year, our event that was the 75th anniversary was the same day as the Pleasant Ridge Montessori Ice Cream Social. So we tried to specifically schedule this year's so that we did not conflict with that. And the Pleasant Ridge Montessori Ice Cream Social is the following Sunday on the 14th. So our ice cream social will be 7 o'clock. Details are on the website, and it begins at 6 o'clock in the evening. And again, we'll have a lot of fun activities both for children and adults. So encourage people to attend. Are there any other questions or comments? If not, that concludes the mayor's report. Is there any new business?
I just wanted to mention, or express a question that again, related to the pipeline, that the information that's on the village website seems to ignore the fact that there's opposition to the pipeline active, and even by the village itself, there's no links to anything that, like, there are, I guess I'm requesting, if everyone is in concurrence, that at minimum, a link to our ordinance that we passed, perhaps to some of the links on the siting board of, you know, the letter from the mayor or the environmental stewardship committee, some of the things that we as a government have done to say, express our opposition, and if Scott would be willing, even a link to the nopecincy.org website. A lot of other villages have passed resolutions, and or cities, villages, town, whatever. I just think it's not as generic as the original coverage now that we've actually passed an ordinance, so.
I agree with that. I'm surprised it's not there.
Okay. We'll take care of that this week. Okay. Any other?
I think just wanted to, on behalf of certainly the people on Nextdoor who've been very, very thankful to our police department, just thanking them again for we got 2 more criminals, but we have the best police department in town. That's certainly the sentiment on Nextdoor. If you're not following, our residents certainly think that. I just wanted to say thank you for that as well.
Anything else? If not, we can consider the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.